Get comfortable in your chairs. You might want to set your feet firmly on the floor in front of you. And I invite you just to feel the chair supporting you now. And allow yourself to relax. Allow your body to relax as we head into meditation. And so relax your shoulders. Relax any tension that's in your neck or your jaw, or that's in any part of your body. Just do a quick scan, and if you feel any place that feels tension, just allow yourself to breathe into that space. Breathe into that part of your body and just release any tension. Release any fear. Release anything today that blocks your way. And I invite you to close your eyes if you would like to do that as we enter our time of meditation here. And I'm going to share with you a reading from Khalil Gibran. And the priestess spoke again and said, "Speak to us of reason and passion." And he answered, saying, "Your soul is oftentimes a battlefield upon which your reason and your judgment wage war against your passion and your appetite. Would that I could be the peacemaker in your soul, that I might turn the discord and the rivalry of your elements into oneness and melody. But how shall I, unless you yourselves are also peacemakers, nay, the lovers of all of your elements? Your reason and your passion are the rudder and the sails of your seafaring soul. If either your sails or your rudder are broken, you can but toss and drift, or else be held at a standstill in mid-seas. For reason ruling alone is a force confining, and passion unattended is a flame that burns to its own destruction. Therefore, let your soul exalt your reason to the height of passion, that it may sing. And let your passion with reason, that your passion may live through its daily resurrection, and like the phoenix rise above its own ashes. I would have you consider your judgment and your appetite, even as you would two loved guests in your house. Surely you would not honor one guest above the other, for he who is more mindful of one loses the love and faith of both. Among the hills, when you sit in the cool shade of the white poplars, sharing the peace and serenity of distant fields and meadows, then let your heart say in silence, "God rest in reason." And when the storm comes and the mighty wind shakes the forest and thunder and lightning proclaim the majesty of the sky, then let your heart say in awe, "God moves in passion." And since you are a breath in God's sphere and a leaf in God's forest, you too should rest in reason and move in passion. So I invite you now just to allow yourself to be in that place of reason, that place of passion, that place where God rests in you, that place of balance, that place of peace, that place of love, that place where the divine is infinite. And breathe into that space today. Allow yourself to commune with the divine presence of your knowing as we enter the silence for just a few moments today. There's nowhere you have to be, nothing that needs to be done. Allow yourself to sit in this presence as we enter the silence. Enter the silence. Allow yourself to stay here for just a few more moments. If you find your mind starting to wander, just go back to that breath, back to that divine presence. That is the practice. That is the here and now. That presence in you. Take a moment to imagine yourself as a flower. And imagine that that divine presence is unfolding as the petals of a flower unfold in you. This place of peace, this place of serenity, this place of awe and wonder is yours to return to whenever you want. And it's yours to take out with you into the world. You are the one unfolding on your journey. You are the one living as that presence, expressing uniquely as you. Take another breath this time. Feel that presence. Really breathe in presence. And breathe out love. allow yourself to breathe in presence and breathe out love. I invite you, as you would like to return your awareness back to your body, to your fingers, to your toes. Maybe you start to stretch a little, roll your shoulders, stretch your neck, and just allow yourself to gently bring your awareness back to your body. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. How was that this morning? This is the practice, isn't it? For the last 4 weeks, we have explored the first 4 unity principles. So there we go. In week 1, we considered the allness, the vastness, the infinite nature of the energy and the principle and the presence that we call God. That infinite source that we know is the foundation for all universal laws and for all substance. And so we affirm that God is everywhere and always present in every circumstance. This divine energy underlies and animates all existence. In week 2, our own Bill Warner guided us to seek and to become more aware of that divine presence in us. That divine spark, you can call it the Christ consciousness, you can call it Buddha nature, whatever your name for it. It rests in each and every one of us. And so we affirm that human beings are innately good because they are connected to and an expression of spirit. In week 3, Reverend Stephen Kosmina challenged us to work on our mind, to work on those thoughts, right? To change our thinking, to change that habit energy that we've been raised with since birth that says we can't, and he challenged us to say, yes, we can. Right? We can change that habit energy and bring about more good in our lives. And so we affirm our thoughts have creative power to influence events and determine our experiences. Last week, Glory Cato invited us to put our beliefs to the test through the prayer process. She guided us through this 5-step affirmative prayer process. She informed us how we, as being connected with the divine, can go within and really affirm that which is us, that which has presence in us. And so we affirm that prayer and meditation connect and align us, not just to the spiritual nature out here, right? But to the spiritual nature in here, to that God presence within. So this week, it is my joy to talk about our 5th principle, expressing God. Now, as we conclude this 5-part series, we hone in on this 5th principle. It's not enough just to understand these teachings, to have them in our mind, to say, yes, I know what they mean. We must apply our learning in all areas of life, incorporating them in our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Now, if you go through Unity's teachings, you're going to see that there's several ways this principle, all the principles are communicated. You'll see different versions of them. My favorite version of Principle 5 is pretty simple. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. That seems simple enough, doesn't it? But what does it mean to live the truth that we know? First, at least for me, truth doesn't stop at the 5 principles. I love these guidelines. They're wonderful, practical ways to apply this. But truth, universal truth, spiritual truth, is out there in many forms and in many teachings, in many different faith traditions, in many different spiritual paths. And so I also turn to those truths. But how do I know truth when I hear it? I know truth because those teachings are centered around the harmonizing ideas of love, of oneness, of compassion, of connection, of joy and peace. I know those are truth because when I hear them, I'm like, yes, I feel that awe and wonder that is this experience. These are the teachings that bring humankind into harmony with one another and with the absolute, that energy, that infinite that we call God. You want to know what else a lot of these teachings around the world have in common in their many forms? They recognize the importance of action. This idea of cause and effect. This idea that, yes, our thoughts impact our words and impacts how we show up in the world. It's not just knowing, it's how we show up. And so the habit energy that we create through our thoughts, through our prayers, through our meditative practice, it has an effect. It has a real world effect on how we show up, and how we show up ripples. I got a view of that yesterday at a funeral for Gail Painter. The ripple effect that she had on the larger community. And that's the effect that we all have, that we all can have in this life. Lao Tzu, I think, said it the most eloquently. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Your thoughts lead to your words and how you show up in the world. And how you show up in the world turns into a routine, doesn't it? And that routine comes to be how people know you. That becomes your character. And how you show up ultimately becomes your destiny. You control your destiny. This energy of thought, it's expressed in action. Now, this isn't just found in the teachings of Lao Tzu, this is also found in the teachings of Buddha. It was so important, this idea of putting one's truth into action, of living one's truth, that 6 of the 8 areas of the Eightfold Path are dedicated to action. 3 pertain to external conduct, speech, and action and livelihood, and 3 pertain to mental discipline, effort, concentration, mindfulness, the mental actions that we do. That's part of the action that happens within. So what does it mean to live one's truth? What does it really mean? It means taking action in all areas of your life. Mental and physical, internal and external, to align yourself with the God of your knowing and the truth of your knowing. whatever name you give to God, whatever way you show up in the world, whatever spiritual pathway calls to you, living one's truth starts with an openness to light and love and peace and joy within, allowing it to have expression in you and as you. And guess what? You and I, we're doing this already. We're already in the process. We're already living principle number 5. We're already living all the principles. You're here today. So for me, living my truth means viewing every aspect of my life as part of my spiritual practice and as a way to practice my spiritual beliefs. Now, there's once upon a time, probably not that many years ago, I would have viewed my spiritual practice as setting aside time over here. That's where I show up at church. That's where when I pray and I meditate. And the rest of my life is over here, right? How many of you have done that? Have segregated that? But the more I learn about these universal truths and start to implement them in my life, the more I realize that I can have the spiritual practice in my life every day. I realize it more and more. It might not be every moment of my day, but it's more and more of my day. My spiritual practice doesn't have to be separate from my life. My practice is life. My life is the practice. And yes, as prayer chaplain, I still set aside time to pray and meditate that's designated for that. But I also understand and see how it flows through me and out into the world and into my life more than I ever wanted to give myself credit for. So to me, I live my spiritual truth when I slow down and enjoy nature in all of its breathtaking wonder. I live my spiritual truth when I recognize the goodness, that universal energy that we call God, in something as delicate as the petals of a flower, the blades of grass, dewdrops on a leaf, or even a bee buzzing around, pollinating flowers and looking for nectar. I live my spiritual truth when I take in this beauty and wonder that is all around me, and I try to take a little bit of that and put it into my creative practices of art and photography. For me, that's a part of my spiritual practice, my day-to-day life. I live my spiritual truth when I open up and I hold space for others, when I allow others to hold space for me, when we come together and we listen to each other, we share in that sacred space with empathy and understanding. Your conversations every day with other humans can be a part of your spiritual practice. For me, I live my spiritual truth when I show up in service to others. When I say, yes, I'll help you take that on. And I hope that by assisting people in their time of need, that I will also be held in that consciousness of infinite possibilities, right, during my time of need. I live my spiritual truth when I wake up every morning and express as my authentic self. So when we read this fifth principle, right? When we read this fifth principle, we might assume that it's the sole actionable principle. However, we've already started the action process by shifting our awareness and living outward. I tell you, I want to be as carefree as this dog on the beach, right? I want to be living in the moment. I want to live my spiritual truth as a dog lives to catch a ball. So how are you recognizing that divine goodness, that oneness of God in your daily life? Ask yourself, is that not living your truth? How are you recognizing that divine spark, that Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, whatever your name for it, in yourself and in others? How are you acting upon that? Is that not living your truth? How are you becoming aware of your thought patterns, those negative thought patterns, and making a shift to more positive thought patterns, a more divinely guided consciousness? How are you doing that? And is that not living your truth? How are you making each thought a prayer? How are you opening yourself to the many different ways you can pray throughout your day? And is that not living your truth? There's a misperception, I think, whenever we look at the principles, that we see them, I don't know, as if they're somehow maybe not quite connected, or somehow we have to accomplish 1 through 4 before we can get to the action part, or we have to believe in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 with all of our being before we can do number 5. And I'm going to tell you that couldn't be further from the truth, because these are all interconnected. As you're acknowledging that presence, that power, you are working in action. It's already taken place in your mind, in your body, in your soul. And you being here today, my being here today, that's part of that action. Now, for some of you, your spiritual truth and living that spiritual truth right now along your path might be simply, maybe you just want to focus on number 3. Maybe all you want to do is just try to make that mental shift to see the good around you and become aware of those negative thought patterns and start to address them, that kind of unconscious, subconscious energy that we accumulate through our lives. For some of you, living your spiritual truth right now might include a focus on prayer practice. So you might look to principle number 4. And you might say, I want to hold others in light and love. For some of you, living your spiritual truth might include directing your energy towards being a kinder, more loving, and more compassionate human being, and seeing kindness and love and compassion in others. So maybe you're focused on principle 2. Maybe for some of you, living your spiritual truth is going out into the world and taking part in nature and sitting in awe and wonder of this vastness that is. Maybe you want to focus on 1. But they all work together. They all work together. For some of you, maybe you do want to take a little bit more action. Maybe right now you want your spiritual path and living your truth to include acts of service to others. Or maybe you become really strong advocate for a cause that you believe in. All of these ways, I could list 100 more of how you could live your spiritual truth. There are so many different levels to this. but they're all interconnected. They're all working together. Your thoughts feed into your actions feed back into your thoughts. It's a cycle, and it's a cycle of being in God's flow. Now, each and every person here is unique, and each and every one of you is going to have a different path to walk, a different way that these are going to show up in the world, in your world. And isn't this the fact that we're all unique? Isn't this part of that beauty and wonder of the human experience? The thing is, I can't decide for you how you're going to show up. You are the only one who can decide how God's going to express as you and in you. Only you. So I leave you with this prayer. Thank you, universe, for spiritual truth as it speaks to us in unmistakable ways. We allow our thoughts, words, and actions to flow out of this presence of love within. We live to be an uplifting presence to all those around us, and we express our divine nature as only we can. We are open to the infinite ways we can express the source of all life within us. We embrace ourselves as unique expressions of the divine. And I embrace you, each of you, as unique expressions of the divine. Go live your truth and the truth of your knowing. Namaste.
We are all grateful for your wonderful message and meditation for us all. And we so much appreciate you, Melissa. All appreciate you and all you do. Thank you. Thank you. Today is the first Sunday of the month, and so we celebrate birthdays this month. And Donald handed me an event sheet here, so I have some listed here, and I want to make sure that if there's anyone here that has a birthday this month, make sure we recognize you as well. Judy Myler, her birthday is the 13th of this month, and Judy's here today. Congratulations, Judy. Linda Arrington, her birthday is the 20th of this month. And I'm not sure if she's here. Tony McCaldy, her birthday is the 23rd. So I hope you're writing these down or pick up one of these so you can send them all a birthday card. Oh, look, Arlene Cook, her birthday is this month, the 24th. And congratulations to Arlene. And also Ann Noons, her birthday is the last day of the month, the 30th. So before we sing our birthday song, I want to see if there are any others that I didn't mention that you know of. Okay. We're ready to sing. Sing it with me.